This is going to be one of the biggest weekends on Sorare this season. We were asking for it, we were begging for it, we basically ended up demanding it, and Sorare have unleashed a special competition where it doesn't matter how many in-season cards you've got or how many you're going to put into your lineup to compete for a big cash prize this game week. We have the anti-stack special where they're giving away $50,000 in prize money across all the scarcities. I've just released a Zero to Hero video where we're attacking this on a beginner, on a budget point of view, and we're giving a card away in that video. If you've missed it, I'll link it at the end of this one, of course. But in this video today, we're going to be devising my strategy for attacking anti-stack in super rare and in rare. And there's a few things to weigh up for both of them in terms of, you know, where do we put it in the priority list? Is it the first team I build? Is it the last? Do we try and fit it somewhere in the middle to try and find that happy balance of a team that really could be competitive and could really finish in a top position in the leaderboard without crippling or killing any of our other priority strategies that we've normally got running in the club? At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, you know the script. Like and subscribe, share and retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Of course, if you are brand new to Sorare and you haven't opened up your account yet, there's a link in the description in this video. It will get you $50, pounds, euros, whatever your currency is, of market credit to help you go out and reinforce your squad. That link does support me and all the content here at the channel, so I thank you in advance if you do click on it. But if you do click on it and you get stuck, or if you've got any questions, I'm your man. Jump into the comment section and I'll come and sort you out. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into this, because this competition was talk of the town when it got announced on the roadmap, and they were quite clear to underline and bold and highlight that this is going to be probably a one-off competition, so we've definitely got to make hay while the sun shines on this one. In the limited competition specifically, there's just under $17,500. The top spot will get $1,000, and the prize pot goes all the way back to the top 1,000 will win $5 before they start paying out market credits. Everyone that finishes in the top 20% will win something. They'll get a box, and at the moment, at point of recording, there's just under 6,000 entries in this. You can only submit one lineup. I would expect that to get much closer to the 10,000 mark. In rare, we've got a flat $15,000 on offer there, just over 1,300 entries at the moment. The top spot gets £1,500, and the back end of the prize pool goes all the way down to 150th place. It goes all the way back to 350, I beg your pardon, and then from then back to 700, you start to then get market credits. Everyone again in the top 20% is going to win at least a box. And the super rare competition, there's just under $11,000 in this, only 131 entries at this point. Now, I could see that doubling between now and the deadline. Top place, $2,500, I should say. The top 30 get paid out $100 or more, and then between 30 and 70 is when the market credits come into it, and again boxes are paid out for the top 20%. And if we have a look at the matchups tab here on Sorare Data, I want to get an idea, a gauge of this game week. Now, it's an anti-stack competition, so I don't need to worry about coming up against like an Inter Milan defense stack or a Bayern Munich attack stack or anything like that. But what I'm trying to do, and what we're doing to a bit more of a deliberate extent, is just trying to see, you know, what fixtures are the better ones, what power players might come out of this game week, and do I actually have any of them already in the squad, as well as, you know, really like how strong is the game week. Is there lots of big teams across all the regions, because this is an all-star competition. It doesn't matter what league, what country these teams are in, you can play any player in any season. You just can't play two from the same club. That's the only stipulation here. And I want to get an idea, a gauge of how many big dominant performances we could see this game week, and really try to get a sense, trying to get a sniff of what the strength of the field is going to be like in this game week, because it's full steam ahead at this point of the season. All these teams are playing midweeks and weekends, even if they're not playing in Europe in this current midweek that we're in at the moment. They're all playing in domestic cups and such, so there will be some rotation as well. And, you know, depending on the fixtures, how it goes for some individual teams, like Liverpool for example are playing Man United midweek, and then they play Everton at the weekend. So there's some little creases, there's a couple of details like that. The German teams have played Polka Cup. There's been a lot of domestic cups going around the rest of European football. Celtic are playing midweek against Aberdeen, of course, and yeah, there's a few other bits and pieces around there. But when I have a look at the kind of the top order, as it were, you know, there's a significant amount of clubs that are definitely got fantastic fixtures, strong positions at home as well for the most part. But actually looking at a lot of the individual clubs, like once you get away from the real top works up here, it then just does deteriorate into just the better clubs in some of the local divisions, and around the 60% win ratio is not totally unheard of, as been somewhat standard for some of these games, you know. So it's really, when I'm looking across this, how many stacks can I imagine people could put together of like a Bayern player, a Celtic player, a Moscow player, an Inter player, and a Zenit player or something like that. It'd be quite hard to do that very deliberately as well. So I'm not too sure, especially at rare and super rare, there's going to be the primo optimal 5 available. Now, I've already jumped ahead and basically built out my rares for the most part. All the stuff that I want to try and test this out. Can I still build a team if I've picked all my contender stuff? We leave contender, we leave Celtic to kind of tick on the way it is. I've actually built quite a spicy under 23 team for this game week as well. And then I've put some pieces around champ and a bit of a La Liga team, that Valencia thing that's on the go at the moment. Now, there is also a wee cheeky cap 260, by the way, which if you don't have a boss level gallery, not saying that I do necessarily, but if you don't have 5 guys you can put together where you feel they could be anti-stack powerful, maybe the cap 260 is going to be a sneaky one. There is no cash in this competition, it is cards only, but a bunch of star rares at limited. At rare, there's a star rare podium. It's super rare, we've got a star rare for first place, so that may be a wee sneaky, when everyone else zigs, you zag kind of opportunity, so maybe one for you guys to watch out for. But I want to see if I put it kind of mid-priority, how strong the lineup I could make is. Once I've done this, I'm then going to double back onto Sorare data, and I'm just going to get the lineup builder to do it for me, because I've not built any lineups on Sorare data, so that would be as if I prioritised at level 1. We would see like the best matchups, the best combination of 5, regardless of scarcity and fixture and all that, and competition eligibility, all that kind of stuff. So if I have a look at the goalkeepers that are left, I actually think I've maybe did Oblak a bit of a disservice not picking him already, but my champ lineups don't feel that great anyway, so I don't mind the goalkeepers I have selected. I think Oblak could easily be my anti-stack keeper. It means there's no more Atletico Madrid players to choose from, of course. Still got some Celtic stuff. We've got a Bernabé, we've got Yaman in the MLS final, we've got Mullenstein who's actually playing against Berardi. We've then got some super rares, maybe we'll double back to them. We've also got all the Celtic cards we could maybe try and fold in. I'm just trying to look at the rest of the rares and see if there's anyone sneaky down here at the bottom, which I don't think there is. So I think like kind of most optimal plays would be somebody like a Bernabé, who I've not managed to fit in anywhere else. It's his last game of the season. He's been really solid throughout, and you've got to think that he goes out with somewhat of a good performance last game against Fortaleza. And really, outside the Bernabé, I'm not too sure. Because this is anti-stack. This is for some big cash. At the top of this leaderboard is going to be some really good teams, no matter how many people take it seriously or don't or whatever. So I've got to think, the guy I'm selecting, even if they're not, who that defence already were somewhat getting stuck, I suppose. But if I already glance back at, do I have any defenders that are really going to push into the 80s? McAllister, maybe. Angelino, Robbo, Starfelt. All the Celtic kind of contender guys. Do we have any? Yeah, and Alistair Johnson, I suppose. Maybe Halstenberg. There's a few guys that could do okay, I suppose. But yeah, it feels like it's going to be between Bernabé and Mickey Yaman, who got a 66 against Seattle without a decisive. That's the sort of game we would be hoping for in the final. Actually, a good amount of passes. Not a lot of possession lost either, so fair play to the big man. 7. Wow, well done, Mickey boy. Really dominant team. Ricky Puig being out makes me a wee bit nervous about that game, but that could be a great one for you, man. It's a tough one to forecast. Being in MLS Cup final, he's going to be motivated, isn't he? It's going to be a high octane match. There's a lot on the line. I'm kind of eager to have a look at what's available in midfield. I'm going to actually change the filter real quick. I just want to see the rares for the most part. I know we can play supers. I'm not going to let that affect me, but I just want to see who's kind of available here. We've also got Forsberg there side of that final, as well as a bunch of guys, really, for the most part. I'm not looking at anyone here thinking, oh yeah, he's my ticket to an 80. It's actually kind of tough. We would take a hunch on an O'Reilly. You could maybe take a punt on a Miller. Danny Olmo playing Betis could be fine, but it's a way to Betis, isn't it? Campbell's actually got a wee decent L5 on the go, but it's not punchy enough, I don't think. And then when we go up front, Tate, Falcao. Sané's actually meant to play for Bayern this weekend, so I actually quite like Sané. And then when I come to the extra spot, I said no one really jumped out. I wasn't really struggling to pick Bernabé or Yaman. It wouldn't be Bernabé that would come in here. I've also got space for a Celtic card like a Hatate, or I'll need to see what the Aberdeen squad looks like before I've got an idea better on what the rotation pattern could be, or someone that might come in for the weekend and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's not obvious, is it? It's actually quite a hard team to pick, but I do think Sané and Oblak are quite safe. I'm quite happy with both of them. I'm going to have a wee look at Super Rare now, because Super Rare should be a little bit easier, because I'm very happy with the way my Super Rare season has went to just completely prioritise this as being the number one entry. So Skorupski's away to Juve. Getafe and Las Palmas are both at home to Espanyol and Valladolid. Two very good matchups here. I think Soria is my man, because I think he's a club legend. He's at home. And then coming into defence, we've got Robbo in the Merseyside derby. We've got Miguel against Real Madrid, which, former club or whatever it might happen. Arnau's been okay. Galan's recaptured his form, or he's recapturing his form in progress. But I think Angelino at home to Lecce just feels like the safest play. I know the L5 isn't great, but he's been relatively solid at Roma. He's been one of the most stable players at the club, my club certainly this season. And yeah, at home to Lecce should be a return to normal. When we look at midfield, it feels like my midfield options are now finally there for me to select again. Even look at Oriol Romeu here. His L5 is not too shabby at all, by the way, for a guy that is just sitting in front of the defence. Goretzka's back in the building. Llorente's there. McGinn's got a bit of a false L5 because of the Scotland stuff that's bled into it. But Koopmeiners at home at Bologna. Braze away to Leganés, Sabitzer away to Mönchengladbach. Even Renier here, this is a top of the table clash, but Renier starting to get a wee bit of life back into his career in the Segunda and La Liga 2. And then there's a few guys at the bottom. But yeah, I think Goretzka at home, Bayern at home at Heidenheim is one of the games of the game week. So I think we have to put him in here. And then when we get up front, like Wolves, West Ham at the moment, Jesus, like going from bad to worse in a big way. And Cunha will be licking his lips at this one. Saganikov has maybe made a false return to fitness. So, like, I'm really liking the way this team is building, by the way. I think this has a genuine chance. Now, the fifth man might be a bit tough because it's between Llorente and Robbo, really, in terms of guys that will start, get good games, and have the scoring profile of exactly what we need. It feels like Robbo is really back into a bit of his best self, and the same can kind of be said for Llorente. Llorente being at home feels good, but Sevilla or Everton, would you rather really be playing against? It's a tough one. Who else do we have in the reckoning here? Yeah, it could be like a Koopmeiners. We could play Braze. We could play Sabe. There's a lot of other kind of runners and riders down here. Even Javi Galan. Braze sadly hasn't really returned to form since returning to the team after a bit of a time out here. He had some decisives, I suppose. But yeah, we need Braze to return back to a bit of form. Against Leganés could be that game. I like the fact that Koopmeiners is at home. I like the fact that Llorente is at home. I'm going to take Llorente. I think Llorente is a good shout. And it fits the stack. It's all red and white anti-stack style, which is cool. And then we do get a captain. I think the captain kind of has to be Cunha on form, but I would love to make it probably anyone else, I suppose, for the banter. Mainly Goretzka, but we have to take Captain Cunha. I'm actually happy to really set that line up because I think like that's a bit of a play. So, with the rare one, we've kind of muddled through it, and I don't really think I can build a team of any significant strength. We'll kind of double back to it because we could maybe look at some of those loose super rares, but we liked All Black. In defence, was there a super rare? Yeah, we could maybe play Robbo, by the way. We do have two Robbos, so we could maybe play the other Robbo here. We've still got Miguel. We could play a Taylor or something like that. But no, to be honest, I'm not too sure we could go double forward. I think I could probably work that out easy enough because I like Sané. And then if Depay's on to play. Like, Depay's killing it at the moment. Dok's got a tough game. Falcao, whatever. But yeah, Sané, Depay. Oh, that feels very Barcelona, doesn't it? Very. With that All Black as well. Oh, we've got a bit of a throwback team maybe I could tease myself into making here. With Mickey Yaman in defence. Dare we play Ao Tanaka in midfield? The midfield is actually the toughest spot. At home to 15 for Tanaka. Needs to get decisive to really spike hard, doesn't he? I think if I was doing it like this and I was doing it mid-order. Oh, Guedes is on a bit of form. That could be funny. Soler, that's on the other side of that game, which again is kind of funny in a roundabout way, I suppose. But yeah, I think if I was to go this mid, I'd even be tempted with Fatati. If I was to go for this mid-order build, the midfielder is maybe still subject to change. Danny Olmo could be half decent as well, by the way. I like Tanaka, but maybe at home. Doing all that without decisive. So if he can have one of his normal kind of dominant home matches and then squeak his way into a goal or an assist, he's job done. It's got to be Captain Memphis, doesn't it? But I think I'd actually Captain Sané just because of the game. Right, so these are the teams I would end up with if I prioritise Super Rare. And I actually don't really have any regrets over doing that because I don't think, like, I'm only losing a La Liga keeper, which I've got another good one of anyway, and one La Liga midfielder. So it doesn't really reduce my ability to probably play the game I want to play anyway in Super Rare, like play down the divisions with a strong enough team. I've not got that many powerful players as we've seen, so I'm quite happy with the Super one. And the Rare one, like, I'm kind of in love with in terms of the cards and the, who the characters are that are in the team. But let's take this to the professional. Let's take this to the Sorare Dana lineup builder, right? Now, I'm going to get it to build my anti-stack Super Rare first because I'm more curious more than anything how well I've picked out like the good matchups and all the rest of it, and maybe I'll highlight something to me that I didn't previously consider with the 5 that I did pick. So let's see what it gives us. Wow, the exact same team Oh, actually, I went for Mandanda as the first goalkeeper. That's interesting. So I think away to Nantes is better, and away to Juve is better than at home to Valladolid or at home to Espanyol. That's not right, is it? So I think we can... Okay, that's fine. And Robbo, it did edge him over Aliesh Garcia and then Llorente. Interesting. So I suppose, yeah, Sevilla, maybe not the easiest opponent in the world, so maybe there's a wee bit of room for manoeuvre on that. We'll kind of watch out for it. But basically the same strength. Robbo puts it up a little bit. But interesting. So that's cool. Let's save that. Kind of built the same team. And I might revisit the super rare one before we hit the deadline show. But for rare, what I'm interested to see is what would my best anti-stack rare team look like if I did prioritise it as entry number 1. And now that we'll see this, we can track it after the game week as well to see if I've made the right decision with the team I built or if I actually go on to build this team. Interesting. Now, it doesn't seem to get the anti-stacks part of it, does it? Now, we're not... Okay, so can we tell it to stop picking all the Celtic players? I don't know. I think it's safe to say Schmeichel is probably the most nailed on of them, right? If we weren't taking Alistair Johnson's or Scales's, it would be Haustenberg or Guardiol. I actually don't mind the thought of Haustenberg in this. And then for the Ditch Vickers, AJ Cherky is what would come into it. And Wirtz. So I had them. Is Wirtz in that under 23 I built? All of them were. All of them were in that under 23 I built. So demolished that. It's kind of the main one really, because I could just play that in anti-stack essentially with Sané and Oblak. I guess that's kind of what the lineup builder is telling me. And put Schmeichel in goals. Oh, it's got Shaqiri, of course. Shaqiri, Berardi. This is a bit of an interesting quandary. Angelino is in the reckoning. Robbo's there. Bernabé's double A. Actually not helped me at all, this, because it doesn't build an anti-stack stack. You know, I'm deciding that it, like, you know, Schmeichel's going to be the safest one out of the lot. But maybe it is AJ. And maybe we play Oblak and then we ditch the Vickerses and yeah, it gets to Cherky. So maybe that's the play. Oblak, AJ, Cherky, Shaqiri. But even if we slide away from AJ and Vickers and Scales, it gives us Haustenberg. I think that's just a bit... I actually think I might build that. So what would that... And that's with Cherky up front as the 5th man. So let's see that saved, right? So what would that mean? We're losing Haustenberg, we're losing Berardi, and we're losing Shaqiri. So it kind of demolishes this team from being a half Celtic, half contender smash stack, which means then I would... And are we sticking with... No, we're going to take Haustenberg, and Haustenberg is in this team here. So the damage it does to this lineup is what I'm losing out on, essentially. And it's a D1 in season, which doesn't actually have a terribly different prize pool, and this has a distinct chance of winning it. So yeah, I don't think that makes sense for me to top prioritise this, because I feel like I could play in season with that team and maybe win it, and then maybe not this team that the machine has built, but something like the team I've built isn't too dissimilar in terms of competitive strength, I don't think. Maybe the Shaqiri midfielder is a bit OP, but I'm undecided. I think your man can score just as well as anyone. It's a tough... I kind of like it in the mid-priority, but I would like to make the team a bit stronger, so I'm quite torn. I'm quite torn on what to do. Even looking at some of the other teams I've got already kind of pre-built to kind of help me balance out where to put this in my probability, into my prioritisation. Doesn't massively help me out. Now, I'm really torn. What I want to know from you guys in the comment section is, what would you do if you were me? Would you stick with this kind of mid-priority anti-stack rare team, or would you go out and, you know, make the team the bot made, essentially? Would you do full priority, get an Alistair Johnson in here, get a Schmeichel in here, something like that, and Shaqiri, Berardi, really up the ante on this whole team? The box that comes with it's pretty juicy as well. Maybe the next step of this is, once we've done this, let's go to contender in season and get it to build my 2 D1s for me. Wanizek in midfield with a Celtic stack. I can dig that. Second team would then look like what? It would look like that. Okay. I don't know about the McCowan thing for this weekend, but let's just say for the purposes of it, fine. It'll be some Celtic midfielder. I'll know who's starting after we've had the midweek game, or you'll have a better idea of it anyway. Now we've got 3 D1 classics. So we get... Is it plain Scales, Trusty and Vickers? It's not going to work out well for me, Sorare data. I suppose they're covering all the bases here, aren't they? Double Scales, made them captain as well. And then we would have this team here. We've got some of the Smash players left over. Who's not been picked yet? I think that's actually worked out quite well. And then what would the last contender D3 look like with the leftovers? Look like this, kinda. We don't need to play this Astley kid. So it would then make contender looking like this. Now, I actually think the D1 team, the Wanizek midfield Celtic stack, could work, but I do think the other D1 has got markedly weaker. We could play, yeah, let's say Trusty does play. I don't think Vickers plays, but so I think I'll need to put Taylor in there, or Trusty or something. Yeah, 2 Vickers is here. I don't think Vickers is going to play. Well, let's see. Again, they've got Scales and Vickers everywhere, so it's a bit of a hodgepodge, real gamble effort. Relegation is happening for somebody, and someone's smashing it. And the last teams are kind of fine enough, aren't they? So we could still do well, but I think the Berardi and the Shaqiri is a huge miss into this strategy. And do they make a big enough difference? Yeah, so that's the thing I'm weighing up, guys. I'm really going to be watching the comment section intently. What do you think I should be building? Should I be building Priority 1 Anti-Stack Rare, which looks like this? Or should I go like mid-priority and play something a bit closer to this? I'm really interested to see what you guys' thoughts and feelings are. And let me know what you're doing for it yourself. Are you going top priority, mid-priority, or even bottom priority? Once you've built all your teams, who's left over? Screw it, throw them in, cross your fingers, and hopefully they get into the top like 350 or whatever it might be. Let me know. Really interested to catch that one. On screen now some other stuff that I've made, including the Zero to Hero video and the goalkeeper, the backup goalkeeper video. Both of these videos on screen have card giveaways in them. Click on them now. Stay out of trouble. Catch you on the next one.